This is Morten from INKISH TV. I am here with actually one of my, you're becoming a very good friend of me.
I'd like to say.
This is Andrew from Xerox.
You can call me Andy, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, when I called you a couple of months ago, you were not attending Printing United. Now you're here, right?
We're here, yeah. I mean, we made the call. It was a busy summer. We had some great back-to-back quarters in the business. And we looked at, the opportunities that we had. We had client feedback. And of course, the people that you always listen to are the clients, right? So we made the investment to come back here, and we're very, very excited. Is this sort of continuance of what we showed at Hunkler, and then into Graphics Canada, and kind of moving down the line into that, that expanded ecosystem that we always talk about. And lucky to be here, and lucky to be sitting here with you.
I'm also very happy to see you again. And I was just thinking, Andrew, that basically before we dig into all the wonderful things that you're showing and talking about the ecosystem and also talking about the marketing automation and those kind, that is actually really interesting. There's been people saying that you withdrew from Drupal because you were basically out of production print, but that is not the case, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, clearly, that was, obviously that's an opinion piece, right? Yeah. So one of the things that we always want to talk about is for years, everybody's always tried to tell the Xerox story. They don't get to do that, we do, right? Yeah. And we just thought, we want to create enriched client experiences where we're creating the narrative on our terms, in our space. And like I said, we want to give great client experiences, tell our story across the platform, but again, do it at our own cadence, our own pace, and do it the way we want it and the way that it's going to maximize the return on investment for our marketing spend.
I actually saw a quite interesting story. I unfortunately can't remember who wrote it, but it was, I think it was an American that wrote, but Xerox is always doing their own stuff. I mean, sometimes you're in, sometimes you're out, but it has nothing to do where you are in the market. It's more about the strategic decisions on where you can present yourself in the best possible way with the offerings you have right now. And one of the things you told me just before was that you just extended the contract with Fujifilm. That basically means that everybody that should think that you are out of this segment,
exactly.
That is,
we extended that. We extended that contract with Fuji, that partnership, if you will, which is a great one, right? But we're also focusing on the other areas of the business, right? Continuing to solidify that infrastructure that, frankly, is really the true heart of what Xerox does, right? Our service, file testing, media testing, our Gil Hatch Center in Rochester, our IC in Uxbridge, UK. It's really about, like I said, that's the heart of Xerox and what we do. All the other things, like you said, anybody can print pretty pictures, as we always say. It's the workflow, it's that protective economic moat that we offer with automation, AI, that again is going to help our clients grow their business and help us grow ours as well.
I remember back when I worked for Xerox many years ago in Scandinavia, I remember that at that time you had the accelerator kits that were supporting printers investing in Xerox technology. When we have been talking both at Hunkler and also Graphics Canada, it seems that it's like an extension where, let's say, the hardware is a utilizer of the mind power, right?
Yep.
And that it just seems to me that it's a natural step because basically once a long time ago Xerox was pretty much alone in the market, but there's a competitive market, but you can serve customers whatever because basically you have the software tools and the let's say the education to understand the value of digital print.
Well, absolutely. So whether or not it's the Genesis initiative, as you know, which helps customers grow their beyond CMYK and embellishments, that's one piece, right? That's the shiny stuff. But then we've also we've got workflow programs that tell customers how to indoctrinate themselves with, don't use the word automate as a buzzword, because you need to match that with monetization. Yeah. How are you monetizing that automation? Yeah. What exactly are you doing? Because whatever you want to say, for every $1 of print that's being spent out there, it's $3 of unrelated print spend that's really sinking you. Yeah. So we try to obviously minimize that and return the investment back to the customer.
Now you had both the programs you just spoke about. You have been working with them for some time right now. What is I mean, do customers appreciate? Do they understand where you're taking them?
It's a good question. I often get too often, and maybe this is something that we've got an obligation to be better at. So I'm sorry if I'm going to take the scenic route to answer that question. Too often we hear, I didn't know Xerox did that.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, but that's the thing. That's why we have these conversations.
But then you have a talk track with them, right? So that gives an opportunity to educate, basically.
Absolutely.
Right?
So we need to educate the market on what we're doing. You can't assume that people are going to know about all these programs that you've got going on, right? So whether or not you're at an event, you're not at an event, or you've got a new feature or a new piece of software that does something, it's the obligation is on us to make sure that we're not only teaching the market, but indoctrinating the market on what's available out there.
And I mean, extending on what you just said, I also think that if you look at the customers then grasp it, now you can basically tell the people that have not really understood it, the difference, right? Because you have somebody who has done it, somebody who's not done it, and now you can see what is the value.
Yeah, and it's funny
value
that you talk about somebody who's not done it and somebody who's done it. One of the efforts that we're trying to do is put out telling our client's story. I mean, you helped us with that with Lelu in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
You know, we've got other clients that we're trying to tell their story about how they help their business. Again, whether it's an implant or a printing services provider or a marketing services provider, we need to tell their stories. It's okay for us to say it, but we really have to kind of push their message because they're the ones that are doing it. So we're going to shout loud and proud.
But you, Andrew, you know that was like the intention when we visited Lelu, and I think that, you know, in the beginning, I'm not saying anything that is putting you in disrespect for you at all, but in the beginning you were like, yeah, but we need to have like certain talk tracks we need to talk about.
Yeah.
But I think it turned out to be something that was really genuine,
Yeah.
something that came out, and I saw also that you had Deborah Korn visiting Lelu to talk about the design thing and like that.
Yeah.
So I think that these kind of stories actually bring value, right?
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think you kind of you come out with what it is you do well, whether it's Beyond CMYK, inkjet, workflow.
Yeah.
You need to trust the fact that you've got good programs in place, and you kind of got to just like kids, you got to let them go, right? And trust that they're gonna tell their story in their own way, and then it's gonna help everybody.
And I can tell you something that is almost breaking because you don't even know it. I think the first INKISH Max magazine will be printed with Lelu on an Irides.
Fantastic! Can't wait to see it.
It will look awesome. I'm pretty sure about that. But that is just one side of the things. When we talk about marketing automation, how do Xerox help your customers in that perspective?
Well, I think it's so important. So if you look at XMPi, which is a Xerox company,
I love XMPi.
XMPi, what they do, people think about, what do they think about XMPi? Variable data, right?
Yeah.
But it's so much more, right? If we look at the emergence of e-commerce, right? So you've got XMPi StoreFlow. We've got the ability, because StoreFlow or web to print e-commerce, that's the beginning of automation. That's the entry point, right? So you've got that with StoreFlow and that ability to do that. But we look at the whole marketing automation piece, it's creating the fact that I'm doing cross-media campaigns. It's not print yet, it's an email blast, or it's a video that's been created, sent to a customer. I send 100 of those out, but only 5 people clicked on the link to get the discount code or whatever the offer was. Well, I'm not gonna bother sending out a printed piece personalized to all 100. I'm gonna go to the 5 that clicked on the link, and I'm gonna automate my processes. Then I know I can send them that personalized printed piece. I can send them a personalized, video, and really enrich that experience of marketing and automate it.
But that is basically utilizing what everybody's been talking as the omnichannel for years, right?
Exactly.
Because I think that when it comes to a lot of the marketing buzzwords and also the interest of achieving results, one thing is saying it, but it's sometimes very difficult to do it if you don't have the right tools, right?
Right, and for lack of a better term, you're taking the boogeyman out of the term omnichannel, right? It's like, whether it's print, email, video, or whatever that is, we're going to help make it easy, and we're going to help. It's the right message for the right people, for the right criteria of what it is they're looking for. Yeah, and being relevant, because there's a lot of data out there, as you know. There's also a lot of bad data. So how can we make that? How can we clear through the clutter to help you?
Here at a trade show like Printing United, I'm just wondering, because obviously, because Xerox has this legacy and products, and you still have quite a few machines here. But when you talk, it's always like the brain thing. It's like the workflow thing. It's like we spoke about before the cameras turned on, like the we make work, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I was just thinking that how important for you personally is the hardware side of it. I know you love it, but I'm just like trying to understand.
Look, it's so important, right? But we always say anybody can print a pretty picture, right? So I love this brand campaign that we've done, right? It's the we make work. And the subheading of that is everything from workflow, feeding, and finishing, and everything in between. That everything in between is still all the amazing imagery and print that we do. But I talk about all the protective economic moat. That's the workflow. It might not be the most romanticized thing, but it's what keeps the lights on. It's how we're going to drive ourselves into the next 40, 50 years of being in this great industry we call print. Yeah.
One of the things that just reminded me, I remember from Hunkler, was that you said that you had like automation of automation. That it was kind of like an AI that is now built in to actually help people with everything in the pre-press. Yeah. Obviously, I guess that it also beyond CMYK is needed, because if the designer work on let's say an RGB screen, and you need to add all these extra features, you need that kind of thing. But does it go beyond that?
Absolutely. So if you look at the ability, and this is something that probably won't be too far away in the distant future, is the ability to do a design file if I want to do Morton's 30th birthday, right? But I want to add gold or silver or clear or white. I want to be able to use, generative AI, where I can now make the design easy and create this page, create this printed piece using generative AI. And it's not predictive; it is generative AI. That's kind of the future of design, and that's one of the things that we need to have an obligation to look at doing.
So does that mean like the generative AI will become part of the Xerox ecosystem, or is it more like interfacing with all the solutions?
It would be interfacing with solutions. So let's say, if you're Adobe or if
you
you're
have the
design,
Dolly or whatever.
the ability to integrate with that new generative AI design file. Now, of course, we need to play well with it. I'd love it if we could do our own, but these are the things that you need to expect that are going to come, right? But AI, though, we are also showing this for the first time. We talked about it at Hunkler. We're now showing it. We're using AI, artificial intelligence, to help break fix for our clients. So the ability not just to predict part shortages or a piece that you might need on your device, but also predict, using generative AI, what the technician needs to think about before they're heading out to the site. So again, not the most glamorous things, but using AI to break fix. So getting past, and it also interfaces with, you've got AI, but also the augmented reality piece, right? So it can trigger an augmented reality screen to pop up.
When you mentioned XMPie before, I was just thinking, because you say that the preemptive kind of understanding with AI, and I look at XMPie, which is like in the separated Care AR company from Xerox, right? Yeah. It seems that you're still working very closely together, obviously, right? Yeah, but does that mean that also that having these, let's say, predictive kind of things in your workflow thing becomes less dependent on what hardware you're actually using? Because I mean, the reason I'm asking is just because it's wonderful that you have extended the relationship with Fujifilm to make new generations for Xerox. But I was just thinking that it must also be wonderful when you have such fabulous technology that you can sell that as a technology on its own, right?
It's exactly, it's something we can offer our clients. And by the way, it's one of the things that we're showing here at the booth today, and I'd love to give you a tour around and show you a little bit.
Yeah, super. Well, let's. I want to thank you right now, and then to discuss what we do next, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, super, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks.
Good.